Hi, it's me again. We are going to do some more math today and we are going to make some math concepts easier for you. Okay? But here's the thing about math and all other subjects like I've said before. Do math over and over again because the more you do it, the better you get at it. That's one thing. Stop and review the video. Like when I'm talking and I come to a concept, if you want to stop it and kind of think, okay, what was that now? And you want to go back and listen to it again and do it, that's fine. That really helps. Also, do similar problems as we're talking. Stop the video, have a paper pencil handy, and then give yourself a little problem and try to solve it with my strategy. Alright, so what are we going to do today? Today we are going to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. Now this does show up a lot on your math test, in your math assignments. Most of the times if it's easy, then the denominator is 100. But when it's not, we'll come to a few strategies and that will help you, okay? So here's what we're going to do. It really doesn't make too much of a difference what the numerator is. What we have to concentrate on is the denominator. We'll go with some denominators like 100, 10, 3, and just different numbers. And a strategy is going to be change the denominator either to a 10 if the number is less than 10, or change it to 100 if it's less than 100, which is going to be. Okay, so let's see. We'll give ourselves some problems here. Let's see, this is the easiest kind. 37 over 100. How do we read it? 37 hundredths. So it's very easy to write it as a decimal. What do we write? There's the 0, decimal, 37 hundredths, done. And then you know that this goes over to be 37%. That's the easiest kind. Now, remember what I said? That you need to change your denominator to 100. Let's see what happens when our denominator is 50. 50 is half of 100, so we need to make it 100. Well, how are we going to make that? 50 times what is 100? 2. So we'll do 50 times 2, but whatever we need to do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator to keep our fractions the same. So I'm going to do the same. What do we have now? We have 32 over 100. Ta-da! We're back to where we were. What's our answer? 32 hundredths. And here we go with 32%. Those are the easiest ones. Most students do not have trouble with that. Now let's go on to ones where the rest of the denominators will go up to 100. 50 was one of them. Another is going to be 25. Let's say if we had 21 over 25. Now we can't make that to 10, so we need to increase it to 100. How are we going to do that? Times it by what? Think quarters. 25 cents is a quarter. How many quarters in 100 cents? 4. Let's use 4. 25 times 4. Again, whatever we do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator. What's a new fraction? 100 on the denominator and then 84 on the numerator. So our decimal is 0.84 and our percent then is 84%. Easy. Now let's do the opposite of this. Now this time our denominator is going to be 4. Let's say it was 3 over 4 and you had to figure out the decimal and the percent. Again, same thing. We have to make it 100. 4, what make it 100? 4 quarters. How much is a quarter? 25 cents, of course. So we're doing the opposite of this. Let's do that. 4 times 25. 3 times 25. And what's a new fraction here? Our denominator is 100 and our numerator is 75. And then we'll just go right ahead and do our decimal and we'll do the percent. That's another easy one. The last one generally that comes up to be 100 as a denominator is when you have 20 for your denominator. Let's say you had 16 over 20. So what are we going to do? Change it again to 100. 20 times what is 100? Going to be 5. So we need to do 5. We do get 100 over here and we have 80 over here. 80 over 100 makes it 80 hundredths, which is 80%. So we've taken care of like one big chunk of fractions that are being converted to decimals and also to percents. That makes life a lot easier. Now let's go with numbers that have to be changed to 10, or where 10 is the denominator. Okay, so let's say our fraction was 3 over 10. Now it looks like 3/10. You could either just plain do 3/10. The reason I don't ask you to do that is normally what happens is 3/10 sounds fine, but when you change it to percent, sometimes students end up doing 3%, and that is not correct. So either you can do 10 times 10, make it 100, change that to 30, and then have 30 hundredths as your decimal, which means it would be 30%. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to go directly from here, you may still do it. Just follow one more strategy here. What's the strategy going to be? As soon as you convert it to a decimal, make sure you have 2 place values there. Okay, so we are going to do what? A placeholder 0, that's right. Add a placeholder 0, that gives you 30, and that gives us 30%. Now we have 2 other scenarios where we can get a denominator of 10. One of them would be if we have a denominator of 2, the other would be a denominator of 5. Let's say this was our fraction, and we don't want to make it 100. That's a big number. Why not change it to 10? So 2 times 5 makes it 10. Whatever we do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator. So we got 5 here and 10. That's again 5/10. Now what was the strategy about the decimals? 2 decimal places. So I do need a placeholder 0. There's my placeholder 0. And then let's change it over to percent. Gives you 50%. How about fifths? Let's say my fraction is 3/5. Again, I'm going to change the 5 to a 10. Way easier to take it to a 10 than to 100, okay? 5 times what would be 10? Times 2, of course. And then, we're very fair. Whatever we do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator. Our new fraction is 6/10. Here is 6/10. I need 2 place values, so I add a placeholder 0, 60 hundredths or 6/10, and 60%. So now this is taken care of even more problems that you have in your on your math assignments when you're converting. Now let's go to the thirds. Thirds are different by themselves, but there's a unique rule that only applies to thirds. It doesn't apply to anything else at all. You can only have 1/3, right? Or you can have 2/3, because 3/3 makes 1 whole, so they'll never ever give you that. Now, here's the trick, and it only applies to 3s. What your strategy is going to be, multiply the 2. 3 times 1 is 3. We write one more 3, and that's exactly what's going to be. So we want our decimal to be 0.33, which makes our percent to be 33%. Same goes for these. Multiply 3 times 2, that's 6. Write it 2 times. So our decimal is 66 hundredths, and our percent is going to be 66%. For the rest of the problems that you have, the varied ones, just divide the numerator by the denominator and use that as a decimal and percent. Okay? So I hope that these strategies really helped you. Stop the video wherever you want to. Give yourself some different numbers to practice with, and you'll really get good with it. Thanks. Bye.